So in everyone's journey, there's always a lot of struggle, as we all know. We know we don't get anywhere easily. Everything takes a lot of hard work, a lot of mistakes, and a lot of growth and learning, probably every single day, I would guess. What do you feel like you constantly struggle with and have to evolve over?
I think my biggest struggle is that I sincerely want to connect with people.
Yep.
And I sincerely want every conversation to end with everyone winning.
Right.
And it just can't be that way. And I can't sit in this seat and have every conversation, every discussion, every decision make everyone happy. And that's been difficult for me. What I have learned, and I continue to learn, that the more direct and the more honest I am about things that maybe are uncomfortable in managing or in making a decision, the better it is for everyone.
You know, now you're at a place where it's easier to be direct and tell people what they really need to hear as opposed to dancing around the issue. But where did you start? When you first were managing people and had to give them tough feedback, you know, what happened? Like, I want to see the evolution.
I would avoid it to begin with.
Okay, so first you wouldn't have the conversation, you just avoid it. That's what most new managers do. They just avoid the conversation and try to be positive.
I would avoid the conversation.
Okay, that's step one.
And then step two was I would have the conversation sort of half-assed.
Right,
to be perfectly
really tell them the truth.
Yeah,
okay.
Just sort of point out their strengths and point out some of the things I'm struggling with, and I would hope and pray that they would sort of get it.
Right. Okay. And then you evolved. What's step three? How
step
did that
three
evolve
was similar to step two, except that I would be a little more direct and I would actually state what I wanted, but I didn't make them have any ownership of it.
Okay, interesting. Okay, so then step four
Step four is kind of where I am now, which I state what the issue is. I mean, at first, I still acknowledge everyone's strengths.
Okay.
State what the issue is.
So you still make them feel loved.
Still make them feel loved, state what the issue is, state what the resolution is, and make sure they understand the resolution.
Okay, and why is it so important for them to understand the resolution?
Because I suffered through a period of time where everyone agreed with me and no changes happened.
Right, because the company needs to move forward, the office needs to move forward, the business is moving forward. And by the way, if you don't move forward, the world's moving forward without you.
Correct.
So if the change is not happening, the change is happening. It's just that you're not going to be changing. And everything is going to move, and the competition is going to come in and take the business so everyone has to be evolving. And sometimes people have a really hard time hearing that. Yeah. And that's why ultimately you have to make those cuts when people can't hear it. But as a leader, you have to make sure you deliver the message so that they are hearing it, at least clearly enough, and then they can make that choice. Right? Exactly. That's the key, is you have to deliver it so clearly, and then you know, okay, I did my part, and if they've chosen not to move forward with us, then I have to make a choice, because otherwise it's not fair to the rest of the organization.
And sometimes these conversations aren't as drastic as having to make personnel changes.
Right.
Sometimes it's really just making a policy change.
Right.
And I think in the past, where I was weaker, I would present all the reasons why we would need a policy change, and I would get a lot of nodding heads, and I'd walk away and think I'd accomplished something. And I'd realize 3 or 4 months later that everyone was acting the same way they'd acted before we had the conversation. So now in the more direct way, we'll have a discussion on a policy change, and I will not leave the room until we have a strategy of exactly how it's going to be implemented with a timeline.
Right, that's the big shift, right. Right, because again, if you're not making those shifts, the world's making that shift without you.
And people don't like change.
No, they don't. Why? Why do you think people don't like change?
I think it's a combination of things. I think people believe the way they've been doing it is the right way sometimes. They're more comfortable doing it that way. And maybe it shows weakness on their part that they didn't come up with the change first.
Interesting.
I'm not sure.
Because it shows their vulnerability.
Yeah.
Right.
I would say that probably my biggest responsibility is Daniel Gale's going to be 100 years old in 2022.
Wow.
And my responsibility is to make sure that we are focused, we are prepared to be here in the next 100 years.
That is great. Thank you so much, Deirdre. Everything you said today was fantastic. We really appreciate you coming.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.